Hello and welcome back to Spanish Fanimation. I am your host, Dennis Patholkas, and this is the now canceled Swamp Thing, Season 1, Episode 2, Worlds Apart. And yes, it has been canceled by, well, Warner Brothers' parent company now, which is AT&T. It was actually canceled by DC Universe. There's a whole host of things. I actually did a little video on it last night. And so yeah, long story short, $85 million for their episode for their season. They were supposed to get $16.3 million back in taxes. They didn't. They only got $12 million back because of an accounting error, thanks to Georgia's tax commission. That added to it. Plus, I'm fairly sure that AT&T wants to kneecap DC Universe, a streaming service, since they're putting together their own Time Warner streaming service, which is supposed to be HBO Go, Cinemax, and their Time Warner library of stuff. So that's TV, movies, all that kind of stuff, all thrown together for 16 or 17 bucks a month, which HBO Go right now is going for 15 bucks a month. So it's like a couple bucks more than that, which I'm not going to be a part of. So, yeah, it's there. There's a whole host of things. I'll be talking about it in more detail on Saturday, but tomorrow, Saturday morning blast off. Yes. Ooh, as I knock my entire system out of whack here, you're probably going to hear some screaming brats in the background because that is now the other screaming brats on the other side of me that are going off. The other demon spawn are uh, are gone now at this point. HBO Go is that much Pen Farm Girl asks? Yes, it is $15 a month because they raised it when just before Game of Thrones came out, which I thought was pretty damn funny. So yes, spoiler alert. I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you haven't seen it, I don't blame you because some people don't want to put any time into it, but go and see it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. Um, there was something very, very, very geeky in this episode that I geeked out on that made me happy. That really did make me happy. So I will talk about that in a moment. Screaming brats are afraid of red paddles. No, they're not. They take those paddles because they get them all the time. So yeah. All right. So how is the Swamp Thing theme song? I have no idea. I skip over that part of it. So um, that's all I know. So we start off with Abby and Matt looking for Alec in the swamp, and we see Alec. You know, it's crossing along with it, with Alec crawling out of the swamp as well. He's, of course, kind of ripping at himself, and as he's ripping at himself, we are also seeing Susie in the hospital, and she is clawing off some of her electrodes and her IV and things like that. Everything that Alex is doing, or Alec, I should say, is doing, and is mimicking his movements. Um, we see that Matt has a theory that the explosion was an accident, that his boat probably caught a spark, and that's what, the motor blew from that, which is, yeah, exactly. I don't know right now where Matt stands. And also, the sheriff who shows up isn't too happy to see Abby. And basically, they have some history because, of course, they're from the same town. And the sheriff basically tells Abby to go home and that she'll call her if she needs her, kind of thing. Yeah. So Abby is staying with Liz now at her place. And they're talking about how, Alec was a nice guy. And, she was kind of liking him, is what was going on. And, we see Susie in the hospital, and she's telling that, Harlan, Dr. Edwards there, that she wasn't having a nightmare and that the man in the dark was hurting himself because he was scared and she needs to go to him. And he just tells her to rest. And as she's laying back in the bed, of course, she hears the branches kind of scratching at the window outside. We see the branches kind of just moving over there. Yeah, Marks, I kind of called that one. I knew what was going on. We'll talk about that at the end of all of this. I'll get to you guys in the chat in a little bit here. Let me just go through and do a quick recap of all of this. So we have Avery Sunderland. He wakes up to find Maria, his wife, gone from bed. He's asking, calling for her, and he's looking around. He finds her in of course, their dead daughter's Shauna's room, laying in her bed again. And he says, "No, we can't go through this shit again." Is basically what he tells her. He says, "Don't do this to yourself." And she goes, "You weren't here. You don't know what it was like. I used to lay down with her and listen to her breathe," and basically telling him that he's worthless, like he wasn't there for their daughter. And he's like, "I lost her too," is what he tells her, and he walks out of the room. So yeah. We see Abby has a nightmare of a girl covered in swamp gunk, basically a decaying girl that's grabbing her arm, and she wakes up with a fright, and she calls up Harlan to find out what the hell's going on. And he tells her that Susie, had a nightmare, and that they got two more cases of the fever coming in, of patients coming in, and they're doing the same IV treatment and all that kind of stuff they've been doing for everybody else. So no good news coming out of any of this at this point. Abby meets Liz's girlfriend, Margot, who works on a fishing boat out in Louisiana down there. So we get to see her, and Abby asks Liz, if she thinks that Alex's boat was an explosion, explosion was an accident as well. And Liz has been listening to the police scanner, is what she's been doing, and she said, "Well, we know that they're looking for him." She goes, "I know they're looking for him." And she goes, "Well, maybe I should just go out to his lab and take a look." She goes, "Well, can't, because the cops have that place covered." Again, police scanner. And she says, "Well, I know one person who will give me access." And she's talking about going to Avery Sunderland and getting his permission to get access to the lab. And yeah, so Abby decides to go over there and ask him. So Abby arrives over at the Sunderland's place. I keep saying Sutherland because that's easier than Sunderland. And the maid lets her in, because the maid knows who she is, and brings her inside. And we see a shrine to Shauna up on the wall, and all of Shauna's shit that she has been making over the years and all that stuff. And Avery walks in, and he's really happy to see her. He says it's been 14 years. He's really, really happy to see her, actually. And she says, I'm here, I'm on business, basically. She goes, "I'm with the CDC and I'm here in official capacity." And he goes, "You know what, before you do that," he goes, "sit down." He goes, "I got something I got to tell you." He goes, "I'm sorry." He says, I put all the blame on you for Shauna's death." He goes, "That was wrong." And he says, "I should have been there for you and I wasn't." He goes, "We took you in when you were 8 years old, and it was just wrong of us to turn our backs on you." And he says, "I should have been a little bit stronger. I should have," he goes, "but I didn't want to fight with Maria about this." So yeah. And she accepts that, of course. And then she asks him, "Can I get access to the lab, to Alex's lab?" And he's like, "No, sorry, I got proprietary information in there. And there might be stuff that we're going to make money off of later on, so I can't have you going through there, because as soon as that Pandora's box is open, we can't close it again." And he says it in a nice way, and the way she actually says is, "You know what, you're the way you always phrase things, you always make no sound like a positive, like saying no is a positive," is what she tells him, which is kind of interesting. We'll see a little bit more of that, I believe, later. This is actually fairly well written. I mean, the show is really well done. And you could see the money that went into it. Yes, it was $85 million for the entire season, and you can see the money that went into it, just in the production and everything like that, and the writing as well. The writing's good. Is it as good as Doom Patrol? No, I like Doom Patrol's writing a bit better. It was a bit more nuanced, but it still is pretty damn good, I have to say that. So we see Maria going over to Nemu's house, Nemu Xanadu, and to help her with the pain of losing Shauna. Of course, she says, "You did it to me, you helped me once before, I want you to help me again." And so Nemu tells her to sit down and think about your dead daughter, how she died, and her spirit. And she does a little chanting, grabs onto Maria's hand, and what does she see? She sees the dead daughter, and like gets flung back, screams, and her scream or something just kind of throws Maria up against the wall. Maria comes down hard and throws something up. I didn't see what it was that she threw up, but she did throw up something. I thought it was something green at first, I couldn't tell what it was. Even though I'm watching it on the big screen, I was saying, what the hell is it that she threw up? And I have a feeling that that is something that might come back at some point to bite us. But yeah, we don't know what that was. And Nemu says that something's happened. There's a big shift in the balance between light and dark. We've heard this before in Star Wars. Um, yeah. And that something dark has come into the world and it's growing in the waters. And she tells Maria, you need to let it go. You need to let this go now, is what she tells her. Otherwise, it's going to consume you. Is Maria going to listen to any of this? Hell no, because otherwise we wouldn't have a story going on at all on any of this. And that's what it's all about, you know? So Harlan, in the meantime, comes to the isolation room to find Susie's gone and she's busted out the window and made an escape. Luckily, she was on the ground floor, so she didn't have that far to go down out of the window there. Liz brings Abby over to the place where Alec had been renting a room out, and it's actually a video store. It's a video store in the bayou. And this is where we get the guy from 90210 and Sharknado. And he is playing a character. We get to meet Daniel Cassidy. Daniel Cassidy, he's also a small time actor. He's been acting in a whole bunch of low budget movies. Yeah, Ian Ziering, exactly. Ian Ziering, Hiding from the Sharks. And one of the movies that he starred in was Blue Devil. Now, for those of you DC comic fans out there, Blue Devil is actually a comic book character. He is a superhero. It is Daniel Cassidy who is Blue Devil, who has mystical powers. So introducing this character was a big thing for me. I was like, holy shit, they actually introduced Blue Devil. They introduced his alter ego. Are they actually going to go that way? And that was my geeky moment right there, was that they actually introduced Daniel Cassidy and Blue Devil. And, they had Blue Devil all throughout that little scene right there, which was awesome. And I really want to see I know we're not going to see it in this season anyway. But that would have been awesome if they had carried it on and actually brought in some other mystical characters into the DC universe, or from the DC universe into live action. But alas, we're not going to see that. So basically what Daniel tells her is that once he lost his job, they took his computer, they took Alex's computer. He didn't have any computer of his own because he was poor. So he would use Daniel's computer from time to time to upload his video blogs or his online blogs, or online journal, I should say. So she takes his computer upstairs to this loft and she's watching different clips of because basically what she's looking for clues to if he found any cure for the virus, is basically what she's looking for. And he might have recorded something, she doesn't know. So she's looking through his video journals and she sees the last one that he recorded was that he met someone from the CDC that he's working with, a doctor, and he mentions that she's kind of cute. And he's like, no, I got can't talk about that. And he turns it off, turns off the computer, or turns off the video on that point. And she's kind of crying a little bit, and Liz comes up to see her. And that's when she gets a text from Harlan that Susie is missing. Yeah. So this is where we get to meet Jason and Carolyn Woodrow. Now, who are these people? These are Jason ends up becoming, in the comics anyway, Floronic Man. Floronic Man is actually a villain. He is one of Swamp Thing's villains. And I'm kind of, I don't know if we're going to get to see him or not in this season. Why am I spoiling these kind of things out there for you guys? Because we don't know what the fuck is going to happen, if this season's going to introduce these characters or if it was just all a setup for a second season, because that is the way most of these things go, is they set things up for a season 2, which we're never going to get because we got canceled after fucking 1 episode. So sorry. Yeah, so that's how this is going to go a little bit, is me spoiling stuff from comics coming into, or at least characters anyway, not storylines or anything like that. So the Woodrows, of course, go to talk to Avery, who has hired them to develop the accelerant. We find out that he's the one who's developed the accelerant, and Jason is a nut about uh, plants and things like that. He actually sees a tree, a Japanese tree that is on the property, and he asks the gardener if it had been just recently transplanted. He's like, yeah, and he says, well, it's in shock. Go and get some water, do this, this, and this, and then he goes to talk to Avery, and Avery's kind of looking at him, and he tells Caroline, excuse me, that he goes, oh well, I can have my gardener take you around, take a look, and he goes, no, we're both doctors, we both are working on this. And so Avery's like, oh, okay, then what the fuck, Jason, what are you doing, is what he says, which I loved how he just kind of switched gears right there. And he says that accelerant is making people sick, and he goes, no, 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 it's not my accelerant that's doing this. And we find out that Avery had hired him to basically make an accelerant that would increase tree production, to drain the water from the swamp, to make more usable land, and to possibly bring out more pharmaceutical uses, anything of value that they could use from these plants for medicinal purposes, etc. And we may have had a little backfire as well. And Jason is trying to blame it, saying that there are all kinds of old viruses and things like that that live in swamps. He goes and he uses Ebola and all these things that actually were discovered hidden in trees and things like that later on. It was just mankind cutting things down that released them. And he's right about that. I mean, some of the older, some of the really nasty stuff that we've gotten in the last couple of decades is because of mankind cutting down some shit. And yeah, movie for nobody says I can't see what she puked, but later in bed with swamp daughter, was it? Yeah. Um, so Jason tells him, he basically tells Jason, you got to fix it. He goes, because if you don't fix it and it gets out that the accelerant is the cause of this disease and my name gets linked to it, he goes, I'm taking both of you down with me, is what he says. You're coming along for the ride. And he goes, so you got to fix it now, is what he tells them. Yeah, he gives them that little ultimatum. So Hank and Abby, in the meantime, are investigating Susie's disappearance, and we find out that Hank's last name is Cable, which is strangely enough the same as the sheriff's name, Sheriff Cable, which we'll get to in a moment. And they get a call that Susie's hospital bracelet was found out on the docks. So they go out to the docks to go and find out what's going on, and they find out that she may have hitched a ride with one of the game wardens, Robotai, who's out there. And sure enough, she is. We see her. She's in the boat. She's actually underneath one of these little hidey spots underneath the boat there. And she is going out to Skeeter Cove, where everyone's been going. Obviously, it's the hot spot out in the bayou, I guess. And the game warden is out there, and he's out in the water. He actually turns off the radio as they are announcing that people are looking for Susie, and he doesn't care. He just turns it off. Then he sees that lights out in the water. So he calls it in on his radio and says, hey, I see some lights out in the water. And they go, do you want backup? He goes, no, I'll handle this. So he goes on out there. And what happens is that he knows the guy that's out there. It's LeBeau. And the LeBeau knows him, of course, as well, and says, oh, hey, Roby, what's going on? And they're pulling up these boxes of the accelerant. They're pulling them up out of the swamp. And the guy who is with LeBeau doesn't know Roby, doesn't care about Roby. And LeBeau's just telling him to keep calm. He goes, I'll take care of this shit. And Roby comes aboard his boat and he goes, what's in the box? He goes, let me see what's inside the box. And all of a sudden he gets a magic hook through his, I don't know how in the hell this hook came around, because it was a gigantic hook on a pole that goes through the back of his head and out the side of his face on this side. It was just kind of a weird hook. And he's all kind of gurgling and whatnot, and he goes down, and he's still alive. And the guy who did the hooking, of course, says, I'm going to take the guy out, kill him, and sink the boat. You come back for me. In the meantime, while I'm doing this, go and get some of the rest of the accelerant boxes out of the water. And of course, the little girl has seen all of this. Susie is still on board the boat the entire time and has seen all of this, and she's freaking out, of course. And as she kind of gets startled, we see Alec, who is been laying in the water all this time, wake up. and he's attached somehow to Susie. We don't know exactly, probably through the accelerant, exactly what's in the box. And we see him, he's going to kill the game more, and he's brought him out there, and he's getting ready to, shove a knife through him. And I thought he shoved the knife through him at one point, but he didn't. Obviously, he's getting ready to dump him in the water, and Susie makes a break for it. She jumps into the water and takes off. And of course, the guy hears her splashing around and goes after her. He sees her, grabs a machete out of the cops, the game warden's kit, and goes after her. And Alec is going after both of them because he is wanting to follow Susie because he can hear her, and he can hear this guy as well. In the meantime, we see the sheriff is Hank's mother. Sheriff Cable is Hank's mom, played by Jennifer Beal, yes. And she warns him about his crush on Abby, and that it's gonna, it's probably gonna crush him at some point in time. No pun intended on that one. Didn't know how to handle that one. I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Just lean into it. And that she has a life back in Atlanta. She's going to go back to that life after everything is said and done, and that he shouldn't get his hopes up on any of this, and shouldn't be bending over backwards for her, and just do what he needs to do. Yeah, she did break it down for him. Exactly. She told him, don't get involved in all this. So Abby and Matt go off on a boat, and they're looking for Susie, and Hank asks her why she came back. And she goes, well, I just want to see what I left behind, the people I left behind, things like that. And he goes, well, that's kind of brave of you to face up to the Sunderlands after all this time. And he says, didn't they have anybody else to send? He goes, well, the CDC sent me, which is still kind of weird. That's one of the weird things, is why the CDC sent her of all people. They had 5,000 people to choose from, and yet they sent her. She wasn't the only doctor that they could have sent. They had other people they could have sent at some point in time. But they've made it a point of saying that now twice, both in the pilot and then the second episode, as to why she was specifically chosen to go, back home, essentially, to go and take care of this disease. So, and then he tells her also, oh yeah, I had a crush on you when I was in school, which he still does. And she's like, well, really? And he goes, girls, girls are supposed to know these kind of things. She goes, no, I never knew, kind of thing. And at that point, they see Roby's boat with blood smeared all over it and Roby inside, and the guy is still alive. She checks his pulse and he's still fucking alive. And they see another boat go racing by, because that's LeBeau going by. And she goes, Susie might be on the boat. You go after him. I'll take care of this. I'll be okay. I've got the radio. So they're taking care of all of this stuff. And Roby dies all of a sudden. He finally dies. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't get to you in time. And that's when she hears Susie scream, because the guy with the machete has found her and is sticking it through the boards of this old house that she has found, that's kind of half submerged in the swamp. And uh she goes, of course, she actually is smart. Abby was one of the smart people in the horror movie. She actually calls Matt and goes, Susie's here, forget the other boat, get your ass back here, because you've got a gun, essentially. And she goes, I'm gonna go after her, but get your ass back here, we need to find her. And Matt, of course, leaves the boat, and chasing the boat, I should say, and comes back. He starts on his way back, because of course he's been far off at this point, I guess, even though he only left like 2 seconds ago. So yeah, we have Susie in the house, and this guy is chasing her, and he finally corners her up in what I assume is the attic portion, and has a flashlight, and he's talking about how he's going to kill her and everything. And also you hear some water kind of bubbling below him. And Alex shows up and basically grabs him and pins this guy up against the wall. The guy pulls out another knife, and stabs Alec in the chest and the arm, and it hurts him. And so Alec drops, kind of throws the guy. And then we see him kind of stagger a little bit, and then he heals back up again. And the guy's like, what the fuck are you? And as he's coming towards Alec with the knife, Alec roars, and we see the swamp come alive. He actually has the tendrils of the swamp impale this guy, drag him out of the house, hold him up, and then literally rip him apart. He turns to pink dust, essentially, or red dust, if you will. It was fairly interesting. And he goes over to Susie and holds out his hand to her. And Matt shows up at this point, but I should say, excuse me, Abby shows up and sees Susie out in the dock, and then she sees Swamp Thing stand up. She doesn't know it's Alec. He stands up and she's freaked the fuck out. And she tells, Susie, come towards me. And she goes, what? He's okay. Don't worry. And Abby's not taking any chances. She's like, come here. And so she grabs Susie. They take off into the water, and Matt shows up at that point. And as she turns to look back, Alec is gone. Yeah. So we see Avery back at the house looking for Maria again, and she's in Shauna's room laying in bed, and he closes the door on her, not seeing that also in the bed with her is a very dead Shauna, who looks like she's been dug up freshly from the grave and is undead now. So yeah. And in the meantime, Abby, and she's got Susie in her arms, and Susie was saying that, she was asking her about the creature that they saw. And says, well, what about him? And she says, well, he told her that he was afraid and didn't know what was happening to him. And she says, he talked to you? And Susie nods yes. And she goes, what else did he say? Oh, he also said his name is Alec. Dun dun dun. And that's how we left it. Was that she now knows that guy, that thing, that swamp thing is actually Alec. And there we go. Some really good stuff, man. I mean, again, it sucks that they canceled this. They really shouldn't have canceled this. But what can you do? They wasted too much money on it is what happened. They should have just gone a little bit smaller in budget, like about $20 million smaller on budget there. Devils often wear blue dresses, not all the time. And you never know what's underneath that dress, Fanobi. Joe Greer III says, town reminds me of the short-lived Midnight Texas or a decent season of True Blood. Was there a decent season of True Blood? I kid. No, there was never a decent season of True Blood. Ejar says, why are there always carrots when you upchuck? You never know. I mean, it just happens. She's in a bad funk. She's in a bad place. Where are you going with that fish hook in your hand? Oh, God. Movie Fanobi. Just for that joke alone, you get a timeout. Viking Bitch says, I think knowing the show has already been canceled makes it hard to invest in the story. It does. It really, really does. And Brian Tyler, yes, Joe Gerd, Brian Tyler is awesome. He does some really great soundtracks. Do I have it? I think I do. And I think he was the one who did this one, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did. Yes, he did. This is Bubba Hotep, and it's actually signed by Brian Tyler, who did the soundtrack for this movie. It's also signed by Don Coscarelli and also Bruce Campbell as well. And yes, this is one of my favorite soundtracks, by the way. Because Bubba Hotep is actually a really damn good movie. And Bruce Campbell should have won an Oscar for that one. Yeah, Ozzie Davis. I wish I could have gotten Ozzie Davis's signature before he passed away on that. That would have been awesome. Walking Dead is just a soap opera. Yes, Walking Dead sucks. And now it's gone too far. It's gone way too far. It's become a zombie of a show in itself. 45 records. Movie Note says, yes, I liked when we found out about the accelerant and Swamp Thing revealed as Alec. Yeah, they're moving along pretty fast in this. I was kind of surprised. They are moving along fast with it. And someone earlier on had mentioned, I wonder if Alec is going to talk about the trees and all the mystical stuff that Alan Moore's got into, the really trippy shit. I don't know if they're going to go that route. It would be interesting. I think they're going to do some supernatural stuff, yes, But I don't know if they're going to go full on bore Alan Moore. Oh my God, I just dropped some acid. What the fuck happened? Yeah. I really don't know if they're going to go that far into it. What did Mork say here? Rhetorical question. Oh, you're asking about how socks disappear in the dryer. How about Mac Davis's autograph? No, I don't have that one. Sorry, Ejar. Viking Bitch says, for me, the best part of the episode was when the swamp tore the guy apart, each limb went in a different location. Yeah, it was, that was pretty brutal, I have to admit. So yeah, you were mentioning, Viking Bitch, that you could see how much money they spent in this just from the special effects alone. And yeah, except for that hook, the magic hook, as I was calling it, because somehow or another the guy swung it around behind the cop's head. Just the angle of it wouldn't have worked, and it was the hook came out the wrong side is what happened. So there was all kinds of weirdness from that. It was just a really bad CGI effect. Mr. Roboto, to my first question, when Swamp Thing is human or just a plant? He is both, Mr. Roboto. He is animal, vegetable, mineral man. No, wait, that's somebody else. That is in Doom Patrol. Animal, vegetable, mineral man. So he is both animal or plant and animal is what he is. He is the fusion of both. He is the alpha and the omega. Joe Greer III says, Dennis, I was a fan of the season. Dennis O'Hare played the big bad vampire Russell. He stole all scenes. So if we're talking about True Blood a little bit, I always thought it was a comedy. And so the first episode that I saw it over at someone's house, there was a watch party that was going on. I was laughing hysterically and no one else was laughing. It was funny shit, man. It really was. At least that's what I thought it was supposed to be. I thought it was supposed to be a comedy. At least that's what it played off. Yeah, I was banned from the rest of those parties. I really was. So, would Swamp Thing work on HBO? Possibly. I mean, Time Warner does. I mean, well, now AT&T owns HBO, and considering how much money they put into their episodes anyway, yeah, they could do it. They could move it over to HBO fairly easily. They also own Skinamax as well, so you could actually get some nudity in that. Move it over to Skinamax. Warrior is a perfect example. You have blood, guts, a really kick-ass story, some martial arts, and a lot of nudity and sex, and it all works. It all works together. As a matter of fact, the season finale is tonight, and they've already been picked up for a season 2. I'm actually happy about that one. You know why? It's a show I'm not covering. That's the reason why it got renewed. All the fucking shows I'm covering for some reason seem like they get canceled. So I'm going to start covering Krypton, Walking Dead, probably the Orville, and what else? What else do you guys want canceled? No, there is nothing wrong with boobs, Mufinobi. But I mean, they're showing the whole Megillah on Swamp Thing, or I mean, on Skinamax. There you go. Supergirl. Ejar, I don't want Supergirl canceled. Supergirl is a guilty pleasure. It's not great, not by any means the word great, but it's harmless fun. Yeah, Spartacus had a lot of fucking nudity in it, but it was good. Flash, yeah, you know what? That one needs to die. I mean, at least Arrows. I think Flash is on its way out too. So, Cloak and Dagger, that show will never die. It's like Agents of Shield. Yeah, Andy was such a nice guy, man. I swear to God, I was at the Comic-Con panel that he was at for Spartacus, and he was talking about his remission, being in a remission and everything. And really nice guy, very humble guy. And it's just a shame that cancer just fucking sucks. That's all I'm gonna say. Would Steve Moyer work for Swamp Thing? No, he cannot emote. And by the way, so the guy who played Alec, the human version of Alec, is different from the guy who is playing Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is played by Derek Mears, is it? And I want to say he played Jason in one of the Friday the 13th movies or something like that. But yeah, so it's a different guy altogether. That's the big Swamp Thing. Does Swamp Thing emote? Yes. His emotions and things like that can actually influence affect other people. Yes. Pepper wants less streams. She has friends with influence. Sabotage. Yes, I'm pretty sure she is. She's doing her dog yoga over there. Asleep on the couch. Yes. See, cloak and dagger tattoo to immortalize the passion. You got one of those, maybe, Finobi? Is it on your ass? I'm pretty sure it is. I'm fairly sure that's what your cloak and dagger tattoo is. Yeah. No, she already got one. All right. You know what she got? She got some chicken. She got some like really good chicken today. So she is all good on that. And yes, she did get one of those before the show even started. So don't even start. Her belly is full. Yes. All right. What else we got going on here? Oh, I forgot Morks. There we go. Dennis, what do you think of my Swamp Thing spoof called Hemp Thing? The series also ends after the first episode and a couple of kids fight him and they light a fire. $85 budget. Can you get pot for that size for $85? I'm just asking for a friend. That's all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Slurm dog. But I mean, come on, man. Blue Devil. We could have had Blue Devil in a fucking series, man. Blue Devil would have been awesome. That was a Futurama reference about ass tattoo for those who don't watch Futurama. Yes, it was. So, except I don't know, he might have a magical unicorn pony or something like that tattooed down there. Who knows? So, with that said, if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button that's right down here. Also, hit the like button. If you don't like what you see here, you can hit the dislike button. I just ask you to go down in the comment section and tell me what it is you don't like. Give me some constructive criticism. Hit me with it. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live next again, hit the little bell down there. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. You can go into the bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want. And you still only have a 50-50 chance of actually being notified by YouTube because that's the way they work. All right. If you want to know when I'm going to be on again next within 15 minutes or so, you can go to my website, suspendedfanimation.com. I have the week's schedule up there. And like today was supposed to be at 6:30. I set it for 6:45 because I was a little bit on late finishing watching the episode. So that's all it was. Tomorrow is going to be Saturday morning blast off. I'm probably going to change the time to a little bit earlier for you guys. It will probably be 9 a.m. my time. Again, there's a little bit of a treat in store for the furry one over there. So, and Saturday morning blast off is where I take the genre news of the week, talk about all of that and any other genre news that you guys want to talk about. Sunday, I'm off. Monday is going to be the Tick season 2. I'm going to finish that out, even though it's been canceled. Yes, there's the wall of cancellation back here. I guess that's what I should be doing. Is just putting up stuff that's been canceled all around me here. And Wednesday, of course, is going to be Krypton. This time for sure, because it's supposed to actually start on the 12th, not last week like I thought on the 6th or the, what was that? The 5th. Yeah, I made a little bit of a mistake on that one. So Krypton on Wednesday. Thursday, of course, is iZombie, the last season of iZombie, which isn't very good at the moment, but still. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get Tiny Lobo. Tiny Lobo in my glass. Yeah. And that's be the last time I sing. Friday, I will finish. I will still keep doing Swamp Thing until they don't give us any more episodes of it. And that is where we're at right there. You can also find that schedule up on my Facebook page for Suspended Fanimation. I also have a Twitter. I also have an Instagram. And I also have a Patreon page as well. I just don't have any tiers set up at the moment. I will work on that at some point in time. I just don't know what the hell I want to put on there. So maybe next week the Hall of Doom will pop out of the swamp. Yeah. Thanks, Pen Farm Girl. Good night. Burn off shows like Friday or Saturday in the summer. Yeah. Yeah. I know I have stuff actually set up, Joe Greer. I actually have a schedule, believe it or not. It's going to be tough around Comic-Con. That's the one thing that's going to be kind of tough, though. So, yeah. But yes, Dennis will have tiers in Patreon. Probably. I could just bottle them up. Be the tears of my enemies. Canceled Sci-Fi is a great website. Man. Actually, I think I do have a sci-fi sign from last year's Comic-Con. It's sitting around here someplace. It's in the mess of crap that I've got going on. So, with that said, if you're still on the fence about joining up, by the way, there's going to be a video that pops up here that's going to be taken from my video library just for you. It's actually going to take a look at your algorithm that you have of all the stuff you've been watching, all the naughty stuff you've been watching too. And it'll pluck a video from my vast video library and pop it up here just for you. Up here is going to be my latest video. My latest video is actually the Swamp Thing cancellation. So there we go. All about the Swamp Thing cancellation is going to be up here for you guys. Again, join me tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'm going to switch it out on the schedule, by the way, for 9 a.m. for Saturday morning blast off. I'm going to be talking a lot about all the shit that's been canceled because this week was a bloodbath. And yeah, it's there's been a lot of stuff that's been canceled, a lot of stuff, and there's even more news about more stuff that's been canceled, stuff that was revived and now is canceled. So there we go. Yeah, it was a lot of fun move. It was kind of a last minute thing, and I was kind of chomping at the bit to talk about it anyway. So I figured I might as well just do one and pop it out there. Hey, Ejar, thank you for joining. Good night for you as well. Enjoy every sandwich. Yes, bloodbath, exactly. And I want to thank everybody who joined me tonight in the chat here. Mork, Smooth, Fanobi, Slurmy, Scott, Ejar, Joker the Third, Viking Bitch I know is here as well. Slurmy Scott. Who else did I have here in my chat? I had Mr. Roboto, of course, and I know there were a couple other people that I missed. Sorry if I missed you. So Dennis, you should watch You Are Wanted on Amazon. It's okay. Huh. If I have time. I mean, quite honestly, man, I still haven't even gotten to Good Omens as of yet. That's how swamped I've been. So, and thank you, person out there right now that's watching the video. If you like what you see, again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, join us. Come on in and take a look. I mean, come on into Saturday morning blast off. It actually is a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of stuff. It is the most free for all thing that we got that I have going on here. And join us in the chat. It's a lot of fun. So, with that said, take a look at the video up here. Take a look at the video over here. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. I will see you all tomorrow for Saturday morning blast off. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody out there. And don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find that your show has been canceled prematurely after one episode. Thanks, everybody. Good night.